Hi, everyone. We have an announcement.
So guess what happens on August 5th?
Something big about a little thing?
The 30th anniversary of Penelope Spheris's The Little Rascals.
Oh my goodness. A
Can you believe
classic.
that? You think that was big? I have an even bigger announcement than that. On the July 30th episode of Write Better Together, we will be interviewing the Paul Gay, the writer of The Little Rascals. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I can't even
gosh.
believe it. It's just like everything it could possibly be in one episode.
So stay tuned.
Nothing beats a buck and a duck. Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. I'm John Myers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hello, John Myers.
Hello. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about why you shouldn't freak out if you find a similar story to yours out in the world.
Does that happen?
It happens every time I write something. Yes.
Okay.
First, though, we're going to have a response to one of our call to actions. I'm going to try to stump John Myers.
Yay.
Then we're going to have a new call to action. And there's going to be a mystery bag that hopefully I will get this time so I never have to do it again.
So I don't think you've ever confessed that in an episode. Is that
That's the reveal. That's the reveal. If I get it right, that's my reward.
No reason to stay till the end because we revealed it in the first 2 minutes.
Yep. But you don't know if I'm going to get it or not.
All right.
Maybe
we all got out of our bubble this week.
Yes.
The whole world did. Got out of their bubble.
Everybody got out of their bubble.
If they were in a sliver of a certain part of the United States.
Or if they weren't, they went there like I did.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So at the time of recording, we just had a total solar eclipse for the second time in my lifetime, which actually seems like pretty crazy. I think the next one's not for another like 20 years or something. So
yes.
Yeah, I got to go. So my husband and I, we have friends in Indianapolis, and I think otherwise we wouldn't have gone, but we were like, you know what? This would be a great excuse to visit our friends and also have a really cool experience. And I have a video of it, which I'll actually share. I'll put it on our YouTube or something, or you can go to my Instagram and see it at Emily Brooks Writer. It was very cool how dark it got.
So that might be an afterthought because we asked for people to send some,
yes,
and we have some, but there's no there's like one on YouTube and there's one on Instagram, and like yes. So we have a handful of them that our listeners and viewers have sent us, but they're like it was just 2 days. It's going to take us a week or two to collect them all from everywhere they are.
And it won't be very interesting on a podcast, so we'll put it on YouTube, but it's not going to be on everywhere.
It can be a YouTube only.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube.
Good idea.
So that's how I got on my bubble. How about you?
So same. So I started to say this, and half of those people bailed on the assignment. Like, not that they didn't get the assignment, they bailed on the assignment because it was cloudy.
Yes.
But it still got dark and it still got chilly, right? And so we do have people who didn't bail on the assignment, and there's a video of it getting kind of dim and chilly, and they're like, oh, it's kind of dim and chilly now. And so that's valid because they got out of their bubble, right?
Yeah.
And so they might have been disappointed in the eclipse. Spoiler alert, it gets dark every night, everyone. So they might have gotten disappointed by that, but they weren't they still got out of their bubble, so they still accomplished what they got to accomplish. The thing that I noticed, so in my undisclosed location, it was beautiful all day, and the eclipse was going to be at 2:04, the totality, or almost totality, 98%. And then at 2:00 here came a cloud, and at 2:04 the eclipse was behind the cloud. And then by 2:30 the cloud was gone and the eclipse was over.
That is
And
so
so
sad.
it, but is like but is it though? Because I mean, the eclipse still happened, and
Yeah.
you still saw it in Indianapolis. People still saw it, or people still saw it, and oh no, I'm disappointed in nature. There was a cloud. That's that like there's a cloud. The moon going in front of the sun is nature. Like it's we're the intruders. The human beings are the intruders on the on the natural flow of these things. So I don't know how old Reina Del Cid is, and she just switched her screen name, and I'm blank because I've known her for years as Reina Del Cid, and uh so follow her on Instagram. And so she did the same thing that Emily did, made a video of them going, they were in a car going somewhere to see it, and she had never seen one before, and she acted like it was like so amazing. Like it was the most amazing thing she's ever seen. It's like she saw water turned into wine, or she saw metal turned into gold, or something. Like and it was genuine, just like
Yeah.
how our videos are genuine. It was genuine, and like I think it's the only second one I've seen. It wasn't like it wasn't that amazing to me. But I went out and did it, and then the other thing is, it is amazing to the world because everyone, both times I've been to an eclipse, everyone is cheering, like they're cheering for their sports team, like go moon. Like the moon doesn't know you're cheering for it, people.
I love this because my video, the sound is off. You can't hear, and it's a time lapse, so you can't. There's no sound. So what you don't hear is my friend next to me. Every time she put the glasses on, she goes, "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! It's amazing!" And she was like, "My friends are making fun of me. They think I'm the biggest nerd." And I was like, "No, no, no. I love your excitement because I think that sometimes we're just like, like it's. I think it's a good thing when we can get excited about things, and it shows that you're not boring."
So I agree. Like I'm teasing, but I'm not making fun of the people. But
Yes.
it was like someone scored the touchdown.
Yes.
I was in a
Yes.
so I was in a park, and with the top down in the car, and it, I don't know, there's 100 people in the park, probably park next to a golf course, and it was like, I don't know, it was like Bruce Springsteen walked in the room or something. and and the other thing is there's no element of surprise to it. So if anything, they should have been cheering for the cloud. The cloud was the surprise. The moon was going to go in front of the sun at 2:04 no matter what happened. If it was raining, the moon was still going to go in front of the sun. And so
Yes.
that's all
One more thing that I'll say about it is with like what you were saying, is that we had decided we thought it was going to be cloudy, but we had decided that, you know, going to Indianapolis, spending some time with our friends was going to be worth it, whether we saw it or not. And we played the license plate game.
What is that?
It's where you try to find as many different state license plates as possible. And we saw like, I think in the end we had like 27, not including 2 Canadian license plates. So a lot of people got out of their bubble, and whether they had seen it or not, they still got out of their bubble. It was still worth it.
Yeah, so I know someone who went to Ohio, and which to see the eclipse, and they said the same thing, that on the way there they were in a traffic jam to go see the moon go in front of the sun, and I don't know if they played the license plate game, but they said they noticed that there were a ton of out-of-state license plates from all over. Like in Ohio, they were like from South Carolina, North Carolina, and Alabama, and just from all over. And then they left when it was over, and they were in the same traffic jam out of Ohio.
That's what we tried to avoid. We left at weird times to avoid that.
I noticed that this has nothing to do with the eclipse, but so I saw that video. It looks like, so people that don't know, Emily's husband is very tall, and Emily is not very tall, but it looked like the other people were the same thing. Is that true?
Yeah.
So what is it? So I know other couples that are like that, that there's and sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes the man is the shorter one.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know how it
interesting.
happened, but I do remember because John and I were together first, and then they started dating, and I was like, another couple that's tall and short.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And so, but to see two couples paired that way next to each other
Yeah.
on a bench, it's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
It was a lot of fun.
All right.
So, John Myers,
Yes.
what response do we have today from our listeners?
Are you talking about the one from Danny Martinek?
I am. Hi,
So Danny Martinek came out to the Southern Oasis Film Festival in Sevierville, Tennessee to see us. And so Bob issued to the crowd, to the audience, a call to action, which was create a log line, go outside, create a log line on the first thing that you see. And the first thing that Danny saw when they helped me carry a table out of the theater was that they saw a cardboard box, and so they wrote a log line about that. And because I'm so prepared, I have that log line pulled up.
We got another inanimate object Pixar log line.
Another inanimate object that's recyclable.
Yeah.
In a previous episode, you pointed out Ashley's water bottle had feelings. It is anthropomorphic. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Am I saying the right word? Does that apply? Does it only apply to animals that take on human?
I was about to say, is anthropomorphism mostly about animals? Is there a word that's for objects?
For an inanimate object,
yeah,
a water bottle that has feelings.
I think I've heard people use anthropomorphic for it.
Are they using it properly?
Now I'm questioning. Yeah, I never would have questioned it before, but now that you say that,
I just wondered. The world doesn't
called the Pixar effect.
The world doesn't. It's the rushing of the sea. If so, that was the name of their film. And here we go. Here is their premise for their film. A young cardboard box separated from their fellows and left empty behind movie theater chairs after an event, spends a long weekend binging eclectic movies and filling up with dreams. Reunited with the other cardboard boxes by the recycling bin, see, there's recycling again. Our hero has to show their friends and family that cardboard boxes can contain more than just the temporary stuff that others want, and they have to do it before they're all recycled into brand new identities. Your response, Miss Brooks?
There's so much character development in one sentence.
That is more than one sentence.
Emotions. Oh, more than one sentence, but so many emotions portrayed. I love that.
And they all stemmed from them walking out and seeing that box. So you know the elements of a log line. There needs to be a protagonist. Is there? Yes. There needs to be a goal. So their goal is to show their friends and family that their cardboard boxes can contain more than just temporary stuff. So they have an emotional goal, which is different than kill the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Right. And because there's both
a character story.
Correct.
In many ways. Yeah.
Yeah. There's both kinds. And then the obstacles we already know. And then in this premise, and there's a ticking time clock before they have to do it before they're all recycled into brand new identities. Yeah. That's my favorite part.
That is.
I mean, you need all the parts, but you have to have that part. Good job,
I like
Danny.
the creativity of putting yourself into the mind of an inanimate object, or it's kind of what we have to do when we go into any character's minds, but thinking about what would it be like to, like, what experiences does this thing have that are different, or this person have that are different from mine, and like taking that and extrapolating, like, okay, so what does it mean to be recycled, and how does that relate to the human condition?
What does it mean to be recycled?
Well, like you said, like the changing of the identity.
Yep. Good job.
Yeah. Love it. Are we ready for our big idea?
In sports news. No,
Yeah.
what? We're not doing sports next? We're doing the big idea?
No. In a previous episode,
yes,
you had told a story about how you were writing something, and who was it? John Irving?
So yeah, in college, I won't retell the whole story. You got to go back to the previous, to the Jammin'. Was it in the Jammin'?
I can't remember what episode it was in now.
Yeah, I don't either. Whatever episode it was, I had written a short story in college, and then Hotel New Hampshire came out, and so I took all the people and plucked them out, pulled them out of the, and it was very similar in the story and in location. So I plucked them all out, and I'm like, no one will ever write a story in an orphanage, and I put, other than like Charles Dickens, and so I plucked them and put them into an orphanage, and then like Cider House Rules came out, which is in an which is John Irving writing about an orphanage. And at the time, because I was a young baby writer, I was discouraged, but that's not a reason to be discouraged. When has this happened to you, Emily?
Every time I write something, to be fair, I've never found anything that was just exactly what I was writing, but it was usually like, oh, I'm doing mushroom magic, and somebody else just came up with something with mushroom magic, or I did a swamp and somebody did something with a swamp, or I'm doing this location and somebody's doing that, or this kind of character and somebody just did that. Usually there's always some element that you end up seeing somewhere else.
So the one that I was thinking about when in that previous episode that came to mind, I'm not going to read the log line for it, because we'll do an afterthoughts about log lines, and I'll read the log line in that one. But 10 years ago, in March of 2014, I had come up with my talking dog movie, and all screenwriters have a talking dog movie. and so this was 2014, and this is the only thing I've ever outlined and not written, because I don't waste time doing a log line, doing an outline. I don't waste time doing that if I'm not going to write the thing. And then Wes Anderson, my hero, my favorite writer, I'm going to the bookshelf. Wes Anderson, I read in Variety that he's making a talking dog movie, and then that it's stop motion animation, and I'm pretty confident in my abilities, but I cannot write a better talking dog movie than Wes Anderson. I just can't, right? Is what my thinking was at the time. And by the way, I love it so much. I have the hard copy of the script, and so there you go.
Nice.
This will be in our bookshop.
Oh, yes.
The hard copy of Isle of Dogs, and what a foolish person I was 10 years ago, because so this finally came out in 2018. It took 26 months to make the little stop motion characters, right? And it's the pinnacle of all talking dog movies, but it's not about talking dogs. There's immigration issues, there's recyclery issues, there's class issues, all in this film, and mine's a rom-com, and so they're just because the premise is the same, they're literally, they would have not, even if I had Anderson's log line or he had my log line, we would have written the same film. And so go say something more about that.
passing the torch.
Yes.
Yeah. So I used to feel the same way, and I remembered that the particular instance that this happened was with a middle grade novel that will never see the world that I wrote. But I almost stopped writing it because I saw a story that I was doing portal magic, and it was a kid story doing portal magic. But now I'm writing something where there isn't a lot of comparative stories, and I'm actually struggling because when you're querying agents as a novelist, they want to know what stories are similar. And when you don't have anything similar, they might be worried that there's not a place in the market for it.
Correct. Now, people will say that's proof of concept, right? So there's already one of these and it did well.
Yeah.
And so yours will probably do well as well. I would like to say, I'd like to tweak that a little bit. So I think a comp has value, but they're not this. It's like the Isle of Dogs, the example I just gave, they're not the same.
Right.
And so no one, which I will eventually write that. I'm like, it's not even the next one that I'm going to write. But we're going to talk about that one in a second. And I'll eventually write it because I put all this work into it, and I'm a better writer now than I was 10 years ago, right? So it'll come out better than what I would have. But the comps are rom-coms. The comps aren't
right.
this film, this Wes Anderson film full of big ideas. So when we talked a little bit about before the episode started. So people, old me, 2014 me would have like freaked out. I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. But current me, and I learned right away. So even 2015, John Myers learned this lesson, that, in 2019, we had Armageddon and Deep Impact come out at the same time. And then when The Prestige came out, The Illusionist came out, right? And so they're both out in the theater. There's Twister and there was another tornado movie came out at the same time. What was the example that you had said?
This is a little bit different because I think this was intentional. But when Pixar was doing, they were doing A Bug's Life, and then one of their guys left and they started doing Ants with DreamWorks. And those movies are completely different.
Yeah, same thing. Or you can find a thread. So like, How to Kill a Dragon is the ultimate like underdog, but there's a mentor. Like, it's the underdog can succeed. It's David and Goliath, right? And so the comps aren't necessarily Scottish Viking for Norway dragon movies. The comps are taking on giants, and the mentor, like, yeah. Karate Kid's more of a comp to that than a dragon movie is.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk about comp titles in more detail at another time, but sometimes it's more about who is the audience for this, because like I said, like with Bug's Life and Ants, like they didn't. I haven't looked at the numbers of how much they competed with one another, but one of them was definitely more of a like kids movie, and one of them was not as much. They had completely different tones. And there are also times when having a story that's similar to yours, even if it's like, oh man, my characters are going through the same things, and this is kind of a Cinderella story, or this is kind of a Hamlet story, that's okay, because even Shakespeare was coming up with his stories based on existing stories.
Correct.
Disney's Cinderella was taken from the Grimm's Brothers Cinderella. Like, was it Grimm's Brothers who did Cinderella?
Believe
Probably
it or not. There are over 30 canonized versions of Cinderella from all different countries and all different times over the last 600 years.
And then you still have like the Lizzie McGuire Cinderella movie, yeah. And you have the Brandy Cinderella movie, and you have all these modern takes on it. And people, when they latch onto a story that really means something to them and impacts them emotionally, they will be okay if you tell a story that's similar to that. Like if you have that flavor, like if you're like, I love Cinderella so much, what if I put Cinderella in New York in the 1920s? People will go like, people will read that because they love Cinderella. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in the past, when I've taught lit, my students start their first unit is Cinderella, and
I had no
their
idea.
yeah, their textbook. I'm not going to pull it out, but their textbook has 30 versions of it. They read 12 of those, and then
Wow.
they read a version from like 2020 or 2019 or whatever, a modern version, and the there are similarities. Like if we were to write a log line, the log line would be all similar, but there's some where the animals help, there's some where humans help, there's some where the obstacles are the animals, there's some where there's magic involved, there's somewhere there's no magic involved, and so they're completely different, and it blows the students' minds to see the difference, but from the story that they know, and uh, so yeah, I agree. The other thing that not only is it not a negative, but I was thinking about this yesterday. So I'm in this writing class with with novelist Courtney Stevens, and the last bit of advice that she'll give on plot is go do your homework and study films that are like yours. And before I wrote my first rom-com, I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I spent a whole summer and I watched every Doris Day, Rock Hudson, Cary Grant, every one of those from the 30s to the 50s. And because I wanted it in my DNA, right? I just wanted the flow of those. And they're all different, right? People think they can lump them all together. They can't. They're all different.
Right.
And my second mentor, when I finally 2 years later turned in that script, my second mentor said, this is like a Doris Day, Rock Hudson film. And I had not ever told anybody that. And I did not, the premise and the scenarios were completely different because it was set in 1903. And, but what how edifying that was to hear that,
Yeah.
right? Because it was by design, but I never said that out loud until just now when I told you all.
Yeah, and I think originality is overrated.
Well, same but different. We've talked about same but different
Same but
before.
different. You take that concept, you go, this is Cinderella, but I'm gonna put it in this different setting. I mean, how many times have they done that with Shakespeare plays, right? Or I really like this flavor of story. Like I like Viking dragon stories, but I really want to do something different with it. And so you find that element that makes yours different. And that is a lot of how you know who your audience is too.
Funny that you said flavor, because my last example, and this will show the difference between me today and me 10 years ago. So I'm guilty of, it's been 2 years. So a producer from Canada. So I have a blog, and on that blog, I interviewed John McNally, who we talked about in a previous episode. But I introduced the interview with this random story, as I want to do, as Emily has learned when I during these parts, the big ideas, about a true story that happened to me. So this would be memoir-ish story at a funeral. And so this producer from Canada emailed me, and she's like, turn that into, like, heck with your interview. turn that into a short for me. And the little story that you told, the memoir story. And I'm like, she might be watching this, but it's been 2 years and I haven't done it. And I'm like, I'm not writing a short. I'm just not. And I will write a feature, and that short will be embedded in the feature. And because they're even though film festivals have shorts, there's no commercial market for shorts in America. Now, if I were in London, or if I were in Europe, heck yeah, I would write shorts, because they're released like as anthologies together, and people actually go see them in anthologies.
Oh, wow.
That really only happens here. Your short's your calling card, and or it can be a proof of concept. So I'm not going to take the time that it takes to write a short, but I will certainly I will embed that into this feature at some point. And the feature involves two competing food products, which I'm not going to say what they are. And Jerry Seinfeld's Frosted comes out on May 5th, which is the battle between the post version of Pop-Tarts and Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. And so if this were 2014 John Myers, I'd have been like, Seinfeld, he John Irving to me again. And but now I'm like, first of all, I've started to outline, but I haven't even started writing it, so it won't be done with all the projects that we have. It won't be done for a year. And secondly, it won't be it won't be the same movie, because will I watch Unfrosted? I don't want it to influence me and
Right.
become the same movie. But then Courtney Stevens would say you need to watch competing food product movies, right? And but mine's set in a different time, so it would be like if I wrote down some, like if you were making a movie about people think that Coke and Pepsi are the big competitors, right? And so but no, Coke and Dr. Pepper came out first in 1885. Coke came out in 1886, and Pepsi didn't come out until 1893. And at the height of popularity for Coke, before it was available national, it was available through a soda fountain, right? The height of popularity, it was 9 servings, like it was 9 cups of Coca-Cola a day, and they're like, it's a hit. And then they learned how to bottle it, and all 3 of those companies started bottling it at about the same time. And so that would be, that's not what my food product is, but that would be a totally different story than Seinfeld's Unfrosted story. And it doesn't bother me at all that this exists where it would have 10 years ago.
And those 2 different sodas, they're still soda.
Yep.
They're still really similar.
Yep.
But they have different audiences. Many of those audiences overlap.
Correct. 100%.
Yeah. Also, I think that people are afraid that if their story is similar, then they don't have a unique voice. But what makes, like when you said that yours is going to be extremely different from Seinfeld's, it's because you have a different voice. And voice is really vague. I think the way we talk about it, like we could talk about it in better ways. Maybe that's a future episode as well. But a lot of your voice is just coming from your experiences. We talked multiple times about cultural inventory. So what media you have taken in, what are your interests, what are the things you like, what mood are you portraying in your story? Like when John Myers this is a huge throwback, but he talked about a writer from his writing group whose story evoked warmth. And so some stories are like difference. I just think about the difference between Ants and A Bug's Life. Completely different tones of feelings to the stories, even though they're both about ants. And A Bug's Life was inspired by The Seven Samurai, which also inspired the Western one. What is it?
It's one of my mentor's favorite. Seven Samurai is one of my mentor's favorite films.
It's a fantastic film, and it also, many of the Star Wars shows episodes, like Mandalorian does it, Clone Wars does it. They all do Seven Samurai. Star Wars was based off of another film by Kurosawa, which I can't remember the name right now, but writers are inspired by other writers, and that's just always going to be the case. It would be almost impossible to come up with something entirely unique.
I agree 100%. And here's my final word on it. I thought I was done, but I'm not. There are people who won't write the thing because of that. I think we've illustrated a reason that you need to go ahead and write the thing.
Yeah.
But it's a two-edged sword, because there were people, like when you said Bugs Life and Ants, there are people, because they didn't like Bugs Life, won't go to Ants.
Yeah.
And because they think they're the same movie, and there's not. And
Yeah.
so it's also your job to have what Emily was saying about voice. It's also your job to make sure that your voice is clear, and that make sure that people know that it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same film. Again, I always write ensembles, but I don't always write rom-coms, but I always write ensembles. And so my competing food product story will be an ensemble, but it'll also be a rom-com that spans over generations. And so it would be closer to Romeo and Juliet than it will be to Unfrosted. And so I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it at all. And when I'm talking about it, when it's finally done, I'll be, no one's going to compare it to Unfrosted, because it's not the same story.
Right. Right. Hey, John Myers.
You got all choked up when over the Hey John Myers time.
I was just getting ready.
It occurred to me that, like, whenever you say Hey John Myers, then I'm like, oh no. And I love learning one new thing every day, at least. And so I can always count. We normally film these on Tuesday, sometimes on Wednesday. I already know that day I'm going to learn something new. And so I shouldn't go, oh no, but I do. But so I don't know. I mean, here we go. I'm going to learn something now.
Well, maybe you already know about anything I mentioned could be something you know about, because I can't run it by you before. All I said today was don't watch YouTube, because I accidentally messed up our algorithm where we're getting recommendations on this topic. So.
Oh, so I got that text right before we started filming, and I didn't know what you were referring to. So okay.
Yeah. I looked up videos about it, and then the algorithm was like, watch this video about it, watch this video about it. So
you did that on Write Better Together?
I was on the Write Better Together YouTube.
Oh, so now I know next Tuesday what I can
won't do that. I'm going to try not to do that. I almost did it again for the next topic, and I didn't. Anyway, I have props.
Wow, this is even better.
I have props today.
Oh, you have props.
I'm so excited about this one that I'm going to have to refrain myself from going another hour about this. Okay, this is my prop. I actually wore this in a previous episode.
Okay, a jacket.
It's a sweater.
And a sweater.
And you read that?
Something sweater market. I can't read
Aran
the first
sweater market from the Aran Islands of Ireland. Okay.
Wow.
Do you know anything about Aran sweaters?
No, I know nothing.
Yay. Okay. So, I am a knitter, and I've talked about writing stories with Knitting Magic, and that story was inspired by Aran sweaters. This was a gift from my parents for Christmas one year. Everybody in my family got sweaters from this place, and we learned, first of all, I just love the sweaters. That's why we did it. I learned that these sweaters are go back to fishermen, so they're also called fisherman sweaters, and the stitches, so the cables, are all made to be unique. First of all, the stitches are inspired by the landscape and by different things. So like some of these represent like fishing nets or fish scales, or things from the landscape, but they also, each pattern is unique to the family clan.
So people listening can't see any of this. So in the show notes, put like close-ups of that.
Yes, and I'm going to share something.
Fascinating to me.
I'm going to share my screen for a second, because those of you watching the YouTube video will see the Brooks Clan history display that you can buy on Aran.com, and it has
that stitching or that knitting pattern,
the Brooks family pattern. Now, I don't know if this is, my ancestry or not, but I still think it's pretty cool. So if you have an Irish last name, you can find your pattern and you can buy sweaters in your pattern. So I make my own Aran sweaters now. This one's mine. And this one, this is, again, you talked about how tall my husband is. This is John's.
Oh my goodness. That would be a ankle length dress for you.
So I started making it because he's always wanted one and they don't have them in his size. Because look at those sleeves.
and that's the Brooks pattern.
No, okay. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the Brooks pattern at the time, and so it's just a pretty pattern. But maybe my next one will be the Brooks family clan. But what's cool about that too is there are stories, and this is a little bit speculation, but there are stories that the fishermen would wear these at sea, and then if they happened to, like if something happened to them, like they drowned or something, they would identify them by their sweaters.
But my mind is blown. And then I've probably seen you wear that one of those sweaters. Yeah. I know besides on the podcast, like back in grad school or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so someone can be walking around with wearing a story.
Yeah.
And I don't know the story. There's stories everywhere.
And we talked about how hobbies influence our writing. This isn't necessarily, it became a hobby, but at the time it was just an interest. I wrote a poem and actually got it published, specifically about the fisherman's wool sweaters.
That's amazing. and so
I amazed John Myers. I stumped him.
when you were I forget what they were. When you were shadowing people in grad school, did you shadow Rigby or Alvarez?
Alvarez.
So were you there? So I shadowed Rigby. Were you there when he talks about on the first day, like the language, like drum beats are language, and like the different things that are that constitute language?
No.
Okay, so for some reason I observed him when he did that, and things that you don't expect to be language that are languages. So like Robin Hood that we talked about before,
yes.
or drum patterns. So my crazy train of thought was that I had seen this Irish drum pattern that was actually a language, and then you have an Irish knitting pattern that's actually a language. And you earlier in a previous episode, you taught me a new word that I don't remember now about knot tying, and that pattern of knot tying was a language.
Yeah.
So what was that word?
I'm blanking on it right now.
Oh, sorry.
But it's the Aztec string language. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think you have an affinity for speaking through thread or through yarn. Textile material.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I've also written a short story using where this story might get published. I'm still waiting to find out. But the stitches, every cable pattern is a magical effect, creates a magical effect on the sweater, because some of them believed that the sweaters protected them at sea as well. Almost like a religious thing.
Wow. So, fascinating.
There you go.
Now you're 101 times I've been stumped.
So we have a call to action today.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is. You're going to have to tell the people.
So we talked a little bit about comp titles today, or comparative titles.
Yeah.
So we want you to share comparative titles for your work in progress. So what are works, it can be film or other books, that are similar to yours, that if you're pitching your story, you can say it's kind of like this or kind of like this. Tell us those.
Do you have that? Do you know that for yours right now?
I'm working on mine because, like I said, it's very, I'm having a hard time finding things that do that. I will share mine in a future episode. I'll say that.
Okay, and I will do the same because
Awesome.
I can think of one comp, but I can't think of two. So I'll do the same and think
I'm
of
trying. Yeah, I'm trying to remember which ones I landed on because I had several, but I want to be careful and just say the right ones. So
in case anyone's gonna quiz you on it later.
yeah. Um. Oh, so you can share those with us in the comments in our show notes, which is on our website, writebettertogether.com/podcast. Or you can share it in the Facebook comments or Instagram comments or wherever you're seeing our episodes. And while you're at it, please like and subscribe and share and review our podcast because that helps us find our listeners. That helps listeners find us. And so it's greatly appreciated, whatever you do.
And I saw there's a join button for the first time on YouTube. So if you know what that is, join us too if we have one. If someday we have one.
Yes.
The other thing that I learned, so I was saving that for this, is when you comment on our Instagram posts, your comments don't count if they're less than 5 words. And I never knew that. So if someone goes emoji or oh wow, it doesn't help your virality. So when you comment on us, and that includes ours, like some people, whoever makes the post, make sure that when we post that we accompany it with at least 5 words and not just a picture.
So we'll see it, but it won't it won't put it on other people's eyes, basically.
Oh yeah, we'll still see it, but it doesn't help the virality.
Gotcha.
And if you have 10 comments and 5 are less than 5 words and 5 are over 5 words, then it helps if you have all 10 were over 5 words.
Yeah, and all of this just helps. It's not for our ego. It's all of this helps us, helps other people find us and join the community.
Yeah, it's not for either one of our egos. That is correct.
Yes. So am I gonna win today?
Is it time for that?
I think so.
Oh my gosh. I have a guest. You think you're the only one with props. I have a guest who wants to know, has a question for you.
Oh, what? What is that? So John
Hi,
Myers
Miss Emily. If the people in their cars are listening, but the bag has anthropomorphized into an actual creature. So why are you laughing at me, Miss Emily?
So the mystery bag now has huge eyes.
Yes.
It has been anthropomorphized.
And would you like to apologize for your past rudeness to Baggy? Now that Baggy has become anthropomorphized.
I do feel more sad. I do feel more regret towards the mystery bag because of how sweet it looks. But is it the mystery bag's fault?
I think she's blaming you, John Myers.
I didn't say that.
All I know is that Emily is so nice to everyone on Earth, and then plug your ears, Baggy. She's so mean to Baggy all the time, and then I don't need to plug my ears. I'm here every episode. I've heard what she's said about me.
I play the game. I play the game. I play the game.
And
one day I will not have to play the game.
I gotta be honest, it makes me really sad.
Now it has a sad face.
It makes me really sad when she's so mean to me.
Oh no. Wow, now I feel bad.
Baggy, you made her feel bad. Good, Baggy. Are you ready to play the game?
Yeah.
I don't know that I want her to play my game anymore. She's so mean to me. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm gonna guess S.
Why are you sticking your hand into my brain now that I'm anthropomorphized?
Do I get a clue?
So, I forgot about the clue. You forgot about the clue. Yeah. So one of our listeners came up with a great idea because
thank you, Janice.
Baggy, you think she's mean to you. I think I'm mean to her because she keeps missing the guesses. And so a viewer suggested that we give clues. But I think you only get one clue.
Okay.
But you already guessed.
I already guessed.
and so and then next episode you can get 2 clues, and the next episode you can get 3 clues.
Okay.
And so you can, but it's gonna make it hard because I don't know if I would have more than 3 clues if you don't.
Yeah, that is a bit hard to put on the spot.
Okay, so get your hands out of my brain. So what do I do about the clues?
If I'm wrong about S, you can give me a clue. Is that fair?
Yeah, but then I'm going to show it. So show that you're wrong.
Well, I won't look.
Okay. But you're going to know that you were wrong
Well,
because
tell me if I'm wrong about S, and if I am, give me a clue.
You were wrong about S, and I just showed the audience what it was.
Can I look now?
But the listener, yeah, you can look now. But the listeners can't they don't know what it is either.
They can guess with me based off of the clue. Isn't that fun?
Oh yes, yes it is. You've picked this letter before. How's that for a clue?
Like I've picked it or I've guessed it.
I don't know. This is getting too complicated. My eyes are falling off. I don't remember if you've guessed this before or not.
But I have drawn it before.
I don't remember. Let me give you a clue. So the viewer also pointed out John Myers will really have to be on their toes because he'll have to think of clues on the spot. Yeah. And so I am. So this letter I just dropped on the floor. Oh my gosh. It has 2 sounds to it.
Okay. C. C?
It is C.
No way.
It is
no
C.
Way.
I already showed the audience, but it's C.
No.
You're so happy. Hold on. Enjoy your victory. Go ahead, enjoy your victory.
Yes. Finally.
Why are you so happy?
Because now it's going to change, right? Things are going to change. We're going to try something new. Oh, come on. Now the bag is crying.
There's a giant tear coming out of Baggy's eyes.
His eye just fell off.
And his other eye is
so sad.
Off. This is the last time we'll ever see Baggy. No, it can't be true. I'm like, yes, it's true. Because Emily wanted to off you, and you are now off. Oh, this is going to be such a terrible existence.
I feel like such a mean person right now.
It's the power of anthropomorphization. That's not a word. So now, listeners, we're going to go back and forth with an internet game. And what was the example that I gave to you in a text?
I think it was like a literary quiz kind of thing.
Yeah. But so stuff that you see that's like trending sometimes, or so we're gonna go back and forth, and so it'll be, and you can make suggestions, listeners,
Yes, please.
viewers, of what we should do each episode.
I refuse to eat. I will say that. I refuse to eat anything.
No, they'll all be word based,
Okay,
won't
good.
they?
Yeah. I was just clarifying that if anybody asks me to eat, I won't do it. But no, it should be mostly like quiz things.
Are you saying you're going on a hunger strike that you refuse to eat? Is that what you're saying?
Only on camera.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I ate cheese.
I hate it when podcasters eat.
I ate cheese on the last episode. I ate Gouda on the last episode.
Yeah, but you weren't like in the mic eating it, and it had a purpose.
I think she's saying that she hates our podcast.
No.
Baggy is just so mean. It's a good thing we're retiring him or her. Okay. We couldn't have done it without you, Baggy.
And listeners, we couldn't have done it
without you.